Toronto, the most multicultural city on Earth. Imagine walking down a single street and hearing 10 different languages in the space of a minute. You pass a bakery selling Portuguese custard tarts, right next to a West Indian roti shop, across from a Korean fried chicken place. This isn't a travel show visiting multiple countries. This is one city. Welcome to Toronto, Canada, the most multicultural city on Earth. Over half its residents were born outside the country. More than 180 languages are spoken here. It's a place where diversity isn't a slogan, it's daily life. But how did Toronto become this way? And how does it work, really? Because behind the celebrations and food festivals, there are also struggles, tensions, and challenges. Today, we're taking you deep inside the world's most multicultural city, its past, present, and uncertain future. Toronto sits on the shores of Lake Ontario, Canada's largest city and its financial hub. It's home to nearly 3 million people in the city proper, and more than 6 million in the Greater Toronto area. Here, the term, ethnic neighborhood, isn't an exception, it's the norm. In a single subway ride, you can visit Little Italy, Greektown, Koreatown, Chinatown, Little India, and Somali malls. At festivals like Caravana, the streets erupt with Caribbean music and colorful costumes. During Lunar New Year, red lanterns line Spadina Avenue. In summer, you might stumble upon a Greek street party, a Filipino food fair, or a Tamil cultural celebration, all on the same weekend. But Toronto isn't just a patchwork, it's a living, breathing experiment in multiculturalism. And to understand why it works the way it does, you have to go back to the very beginning. Long before skyscrapers and streetcars, the area we now call Toronto was home to indigenous peoples, the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Haudenosaunee, and others who lived along the waterways and forests of southern Ontario. European colonization began in the late 18th century. British settlers established the town of York, later renamed Toronto in 1834. Early immigration was mostly from the British Isles, but by the late 19th century, newcomers from Italy, Eastern Europe, and China began arriving, often facing discrimination and strict quotas. The real shift came after World War II. Canada needed workers, and immigration policies began to open. First came waves from Southern and Eastern Europe, then from the Caribbean, South Asia, East Asia, and Africa. In 1971, Canada became the first country in the world to adopt an official policy of multiculturalism. It wasn't just about tolerating different cultures, it was about celebrating them. Toronto, already a magnet for newcomers, embraced the policy fully. By the 1980s, the city had transformed into a true global crossroads. Today, walking through Toronto can feel like crossing continents without leaving a single city. Head to Kensington Market, and you'll see Jamaican patty shops next to Mexican taquerias, vintage clothing stores beside Middle Eastern spice stalls. Food is perhaps the most delicious expression of Toronto's diversity. You can eat dim sum for breakfast, jerk chicken for lunch, and Ethiopian injera for dinner, all within a few blocks. Cultural festivals play a huge role. Caravana attracts over 1 million visitors each year, celebrating Caribbean heritage with music, dance, and costumes. The Taste of the Danforth turns a Greek neighborhood into one massive food and music festival. Chinese New Year, Diwali, Eid celebrations, Pride. Toronto's event calendar reads like a world tour. The city also invests in public spaces that reflect its people, from multicultural community centers to public art that tells immigrant stories. It's no surprise Toronto is consistently ranked one of the most livable cities in the world. But diversity isn't without its challenges. Toronto faces one of the most expensive housing markets in North America. For many newcomers, finding an affordable home is nearly impossible. Employment can be another hurdle. Many immigrants arrive with degrees and professional experience, but face barriers getting jobs in their field, sometimes because their qualifications aren't recognized, other times due to subtle discrimination. And while Toronto prides itself on inclusivity, not all communities mix equally. Some neighborhoods remain culturally isolated, creating invisible boundaries within the city. There are also debates about the limits of multiculturalism. Critics argue that focusing too much on differences can prevent deeper integration. Supporters say the opposite, that cultural pride strengthens the whole city. Toronto's story isn't a perfect fairy tale. It's an ongoing experiment that requires constant effort to balance unity and diversity. Still, the city is full of examples of immigrants who have left an incredible mark. Take Masai Ujiri, the Nigerian-born president of the Toronto Raptors, who led the team to its first NBA championship in 2019. Or Adrian Clarkson, born in Hong Kong, who became Canada's Governor-General. Or the countless small business owners whose restaurants, shops, and services shape entire neighborhoods. Immigrants in Toronto aren't just contributing to the economy, they are the economy. From tech startups to cultural institutions, they bring ideas, innovation, and resilience. Toronto's population is expected to grow by over 2 million in the next 25 years, and immigration will drive most of that growth. This means the city will become even more diverse, but also face bigger challenges. Will infrastructure keep up? Will housing shortages push newcomers to the margins? And will Toronto be able to maintain its delicate balance of cultural pride and shared identity? Some see Toronto as a model for the 21st century, proof that a city can embrace difference and thrive. Others warn that without investment and dialogue, multiculturalism can turn into parallel lives instead of shared ones. Toronto's multiculturalism isn't just about food, festivals, and neighborhoods, it's political. Walk into a voting station during a Toronto municipal or provincial election, and you'll see ballots translated into multiple languages, campaign signs written in everything from Mandarin to Portuguese, and candidates whose origins span every continent. In Toronto, politics is a reflection of the city's diversity. Over the decades, the city has elected mayors, councillors, and members of parliament from immigrant backgrounds, often becoming firsts for their communities. For example, Olivia Chow, Toronto's current mayor, was born in Hong Kong and immigrated to Canada as a child. Her journey from immigrant kid to city leader mirrors the aspirations of thousands of families who arrive in Toronto every year. This political diversity has real-world impacts. Immigration policy, affordable housing, transit expansion, and social integration programs are debated through the lens of multicultural needs. That means city council discussions might include questions about how bus routes serve immigrant-heavy suburbs or how to fund community centers for newcomers. But political multiculturalism isn't without its challenges. Some argue that politicians cater too heavily to specific ethnic blocs, risking division rather than unity. Others fear that language barriers in politics can leave some communities less informed or engaged. Yet, on the whole, Toronto's political arena has become a place where the world negotiates how to live together, not perfectly, but with more openness than most cities on Earth. In many ways, Toronto isn't just the most multicultural city in the world. It's also one of the most globally governed cities, where decisions are shaped by voices from every corner of the planet. If you enjoyed exploring Toronto with us, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Truth Travels, and click the bell so you never miss a story from around the world. And tell us in the comments, do you think multiculturalism is the future for cities everywhere, or is Toronto a unique case?